Now singing brim bam bam 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 brim bam bam.
Politics, the means our country is governed. Often we communicate our perspectives on politics through debates, which serve to bring awareness and address the modern societal problems. It's the forbidden dark arts never to be practiced by the family at the dinner table unless you want to see them bark and bite at each other like rabid dogs. Through political stances that will be shown through examples, I am not going to discuss which side of the argument you should choose, because I'm not trying to influence you to choose one political affiliation or the other. So for here, we are going to be exploring the philosophy of modern politics mainly through political debates, ultimately asking ourselves why and how political debates are conducted the way they are in our modern day, as well as what to be aware of when looking at any perspective or sense of logic in a political debate. To understand the philosophy of political debates, we have to break down the people and structure in them. So why have political debates? Well, they were ultimately created to influence and appeal to an audience. Initially, it started between two scholars or individuals, then organized groups of people, as it has been that way for millennia. But with advances to technology, it can be expressed through multiple means, from the press to the radio, then eventually the television, and to where it is now, being more accessible than ever. With the accessibility and convenience of these discussions, the audience grows, and I fall under the mentality that every politician has an agenda, and to proceed with an agenda under any type of democratic government, politicians, scholars, and activists need to affect as many people with their influence as possible, from highly powerful individuals/corporations to a sheer quantity of people they can improve their chances of influencing or legislating their intentions. Alright, so how do politicians achieve this? That leads to questioning the logic behind our politicians. So how do we think like a politician? Well, we have to think of their goal, and their goal is to get their political agenda to be effective, whether it be economic opportunity, political movement, or legislature. They need people backing them up to have power. So they ultimately have to say whatever they think may bring people onto their side. That comes in the form of vocalizing their side to be more appealing than the other. Many of them try to check the boxes, trying to get on the good side with as many helpful demographics as possible, whether it be people of a certain place, occupation, or affiliation. There are many examples of this on social media today. The goal influential politicians often have in political debates is not to convince or have a proper discussion with the other party that they are having a debate with. Rather, they are incentivized to try and convince the audience of their perspective instead. Many political debates are going to double down instead of being convinced, and many aren't there to find an understood common ground. In such vital events as the presidential election, political debates serve as a great opportunity to try and convince more people to rally to a given side. In putting too much emphasis into trying to just convince the audience, they may digress and may forget that they have more important matters to debate about, whether it be pure tangents.
I was 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8. But I have, you know how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Hey, let's not act like children. President Trump, we're going to
21.
Insulting the other person's character,
You're a whiner.
or constructing situations that make themselves look superior and their opponent inferior.
Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess What we have done and what I intend to do is build on what we know are the aspirations and the hopes of the American people. But I'm going to tell you,
the logical process of trying to get your own opinion across may come with the invalidation and lack of respect for the other person in the discussion. We can often see that once people see something that they do not agree with, they polarize and distance themselves from the other perspective. They close off understanding and instead double down into their own perspective without reaching a common ground, as many often do in debates innately. Any mistakes of the past are swept under the rug, so the politicians themselves may be depicted in absolutes, with themselves as good and the opposition as evil, when in actuality, many politicians fall into a murky gray instead of being black or white. They may put themselves on a high horse. They may have the funding from a corporation or group that may provide them with the funding to influence others more than they initially would, as well as skewing their agendas. They may have the news outlets that further convince the people by eliminating or shedding crooked light on topics that would otherwise broaden their understanding, and instead only show you what they want you to see, so you may follow them or be influenced more easily. With all of this being said, surely we're not blindly following people into the voting ballot or being easily influenced to make legislative decisions, right? Well, of course, it's a bit complicated. So this study here shows in short that we are very impressionable. We see people around us react one way, and the chances are we are going to be influenced by that and do something very similar. Many social psychology experiments point that we are very impressionable and receptive to that influence out of survival instinct. Another study showed an increase in citizens' awareness of policies and political knowledge that came from political debates. They essentially improved democratic engagement and accountability for the government through the exchange of ideas. So in two facets, political debates are highly impressionable for our audiences. They are important. Just this awareness may or may not be blindsided due to the sheer amount of fallacies spewed by politicians, since many inaccurate things can be said, but not enough time to process and understand the information to make and encounter a proper conclusion. Claims may be made without evidence being even connected to it. It's just something as well to be aware of, since many inaccurate things may be said in political debates. And the more proper information you're exposed to, the better. To be a politician. So much is said, yet little was done. Multiple claims with lackluster evidence. What politicians claimed was genuine was simply manufactured to invoke a response. Vagueness and deflecting is a mainstay. Putting up front is a lifestyle. A wolf among the sheep needs a disguise in order to lure them. Double standards, doubling down, using deflection instead of proper refutation. Assumptions are treated as facts. Label the people so that they may stay divided and treat each other with alienation and animosity. Claim the truth when the pursuit is a lie. The people are simply a means to the end. But our politicians are a reflection of our society. They stem from us because they are us. In the structure of our people, it often doesn't pay to be genuinely understanding and authentic. It pays to be assertive, each voice trying to drown out the other in the seas of perspectives. If you're trying to hear out other people, it can often come out as them drowning out your opinion. Everyone wants to talk, no one wants to listen.
So if you go knock on doors and ask people for their papers,
again, but
what do you do?
let me finish. I think there's a wrong.
But do not let the general will of the politicians corrupt respect for those who truly care for the advocacy and change for the sake of their people. We must also remember that our senses are able to be tricked. Our emotion and logic are fallible. When we have people who want power, they will use the tools at their disposal to rally people to grow in influence, exploiting any means deemed plausible. The ignorance of the people is the power of the politician. Now we're at the end. I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know what you think in the comments, and thank you for making it this far. This was all made by one person, so I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care till then.